Hello, Gemini, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day, great afternoon, great evening, whatever time of day you might be watching or listening to this. If you're like me, I listen to a lot of tarot readings. I don't always watch each individual one, but I might have them on while I'm doing something else, so I totally understand that. This will be your weekly reading for the week of July 20th through the 26th. And during that time, we will have a waning crescent moon, which is a time of surrender, rest, healing. Kind of kick back a little bit this week, kind of think of where you've been, where you're headed, because we're going to rest and get ready for a new cycle, which begins on the new moon on the 25th. And of course, that's a time for a fresh start, new beginnings, a good time to start anything new, new work, new projects, new thoughts, new ideas. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter this week, Gemini. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading: nothing is yet set in stone. Okay. Let's see what the Gemini Collective is working on this week. And Gemini, I will say my weekly reminder for this week is that you take some time to get out into nature. Find a place where you can take a hike. Maybe take a walk through a wooded area if it's really hot. I know that's nice and shady sometimes. If you have a good wooded path you can find, or find some water, where you can listen to the ocean if you're lucky enough to live near the ocean, or walk along the beach. If you live near a lake or a stream, just somewhere where you can hear water or just experience nature. So, but take the time to really stop and just really connect with the miracle of nature this week in some way, whether that's watching an animal or maybe looking at a tree or a plant for longer than you might. It's such a battery recharge to do that. And it's just super relaxing. It's very meditative for me. So just get out there, connect with nature. If you want to, close your eyes and just really connect and enjoy. But that's my weekly reminder for you. So, all right, Gemini, without further ado, I will stop rambling about nature and let's get into this reading. Gemini, July 20th through the 26th. Nothing is yet set in stone. All right, your overall message card. Well, nothing is set in stone because you're sitting in a place of indecision about something. So, which is fine. No rush. If there's something that you need to take time to think about before you make a decision, that's perfectly fine. These waters behind this person are just emotionally calm. There's no, we're just trying to keep that kind of flat, balanced feeling while you process and while you, maybe make pro and con lists in your head or decide this or that and the other, or kind of play out those scenarios like, well, if I make this choice, here's what could possibly, it's fine. Nobody should be rushing you to make any decisions on anything. Let's see what your current situation is the Ace of Cups. So is this maybe love related? Is this, something the cups are about emotion, and it's about our heart overflowing. It's usually about positive emotion. It's something, cups can be just something that you love this, and it doesn't have to be a person, although it can be, but it can be about just something that you love to do, something that you love to experience, something. And even just getting out in nature, it could be that you just love taking hikes, you love to be out in nature all the time. So some activity, it could be involved with your work or some hobby that you're involved with. But it looks like your current situation is that you're, maybe trying to make a decision here on something that you love. Maybe you love travel and you're trying to decide, when to plan a vacation, when to go on a certain trip. You love music, and maybe you want to go to there's several concerts this summer and you're trying to decide which one, so you could be indecisive about anything, but it appears to be something that you love. At the root of your situation is the Judgment card. So maybe you are making some sort of judgments and some sort of, the Judgment card is about, it's just about awareness and new awareness. This could be, I learned this certain thing and it made me want to like you learned a certain truth about something, or you took some time to just really think about something, and maybe it is affecting your decision on something. So we could be, like I said, I'll use vacation again as an example. You could have discovered that there is a part in the world that has something to do with a hobby that you really, really enjoy. And you're like, well, maybe I'll involve that in my vacation travel so that I can visit a museum that has something to do. So there's some kind of information that has come in that's making you kind of be indecisive about this thing that you love or you want to participate in. In your recent past is the sun. So you're coming into this in a really good, light, nurturing energy. The sun is the happiest card in the deck. It's where, this is peace and healing and being confident, being warm, just a really good balance and just happy. So you're coming into this decision about this from a very happy place. This is not it's not something that you don't enjoy. It's something that you really do love. And magnified here by the sun. What's on your mind this week is the Seven of Swords. So, seven is usually our card of cunning, craftiness. Excuse me, let me grab a drink here. This could be theft, hidden agenda. And this could really, if it's on your mind, maybe you have a hidden agenda. And again, like I said, I use the example of travel, that maybe, maybe you are planning a family vacation. It's for your entire family, but there's something maybe a little bit selfish in there for you, right? So, let's say that it's always been your dream to see, just the world's biggest ball of twine, and you just happen to plan a vacation where that is an exit away on the, so that sort of thing. That maybe there is some sort of hidden agenda in your decision making process, which is okay. And does it have to be hidden? I mean, can you put that information out there, and maybe it does. Maybe it's just something you feel like you want to secretly, like I said, plan, and I'm using a vacation. This could be anything, but that there's some sort of something that maybe you don't want to put all your cards on the table for some reason. Of course, this person has left a couple of swords behind, and swords represent air energy, communication, or thoughts. So maybe those thoughts have been laid down. You might have planted a couple of seeds, but you're just not sharing quite all of your information, right? So what is just ahead of you is the star card. So the star card is about direction. It's about being on course. So, it appears that that's okay. And look, I really like this setup here. We've got the indecision here, but we've got the day and the night, almost like you're in the middle of both of those. And you can't really make a decision. You could just be making a decision on two things that are night and day, both things that you love, right? Um, Very interesting. It could be that you love not going on vacation. You like a staycation. You want to hang around your house. You want to, enjoy your own home and sleep in and not do a whole lot. Or you have the choice of a vacation where you're out and about and you're somewhere else and you're doing lots of different activities. So, and trying to make that decision, again, I'll use vacation as an example. You love both. You love doing both. How do you decide to do that? Well, you have to just really think about, again, the pros and cons and make that decision eventually. In your advice position is a little bit of dissatisfaction. And because this is such a weird card in this position for me. So this card is about not really being thrilled with what the universe is offering you right now. And maybe that's what's leading to this indecision. But the fact that it's in your advice, and I guess to me, it just means that it's okay to not be thrilled about the current offerings. That's okay. Like, and maybe you're going to say no to something because of it. Maybe that's where your indecision lies, on the yes and the no. Like I said, the sun and the day and the night. Um, that you're just kind of sitting in this dual place, and you're thinking, I just don't want to. I just don't want to go on vacation. I want to stay at home. I want to get on my own sofa and read a book and cook my own foods. So, just you're kind of at a crossroads with this decision. So again, thank goodness nothing is yet set in stones. No one's made vacation reservations yet. What is beyond your control is feeling a little bit celebratory here. And I'm sure this will arrive after you've made this decision this week. And I do start to feel like this is going to conclude that you're kind of on the wire. You need to make a decision. Nothing is set in stone yet, but you really kind of do need to decide, like kind of like you're on a time crunch a little bit. That, but I feel like whatever decision you make, you're going to be happy with. So there's no right or wrong here. Secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid, is the Magician. Okay, so here's the Magician asking you, how do you want to move forward? And this is your secret desire. I hope. Are you trying to manifest things? Is it your secret desire to manifest something in this situation, or are you trying to avoid it? I really hope you're not trying to avoid it, but maybe you are. Only you can really answer when the card is in this position. But if this is your secret desire, you're thinking, oh, and you've got your fingers crossed, and maybe there's other people involved. And again, maybe a little bit of you've given some information, but not all the information, that you're just kind of hoping that you can manifest what it is, whatever it is that you want, whatever decision here that you're at a crossroads about. And of course, if you're trying to avoid that, then you're just sitting in that you don't want to make a decision. So I do feel like you're going to be happy with whatever decision you finally end up with there. All right, in your outcome position, let's see the Three of Pentacles. So the Three of Pentacles is about creativity, about collaboration. Maybe this is about coming to some happy medium that you can collaborate and be creative about. Maybe you go away for a long weekend, but the rest of the week you get to stay at home, right? So that's a collaboration and coming together of, maybe everybody's wants and needs, where everybody gets a little piece of the happy pie, right? Um, and again, I'm using vacation as an example, but this could be in so many different situations for you. Let's see what's hidden here at the bottom of the deck. What's hidden is enjoying the fruits of your labor. And maybe that is hidden, and that is something that you need to be really thinking and being appreciative and grateful about, right? That you get to do this. You get to enjoy the fruits of your labor in the way that, apparently, again, there's a decision here, there's a back and forth going on, but I think you'll be happy about whatever in the end. Um, but think about that. Don't forget that that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Is somehow enjoying the fruits of of your labor. And it does feel like it's a choice between two things here. And I always say that having choices, it's kind of a luxury. The less choices you have, the less of a luxury it is. So if you have a lot of choices, that's a luxury, and definitely be thankful that you at least have the luxury of those choices that you're making. So all right, Gemini, whatever you decide here, I wish you well. I think you're going to be happy with your decision. I do think you're going to creatively come up with some way that everybody can be happy through collaboration, through coming together and just really discussing everybody's wants and needs in this situation. All right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final words here for Gemini. Be creative. All right, there we go. There's that 3 again. Be creative and coming up with a solution here. And I think, that's always the answer for many things in life is, especially if you're at a conflict, and even if you can't decide it, this may not be about other people, as maybe it's just you deciding again. Again, I'm using vacation for an example. Maybe it's just you, and be creative. There's ways. Really make a list of, these are the things I want, these are the things I need, this is what I can and can't do, and just make that decision based on that. And it might take some creative way that you come up in that with the decision making process, that maybe it's not how everyone else makes that decision, and maybe you do creative things to solve this and come to a resolution, right? In some creative way that'll be fun for you. So does that make sense? That was a lot of words there. All right, Gemini, let's pull here from the self-care wisdom cards. What does Gemini need to do in the way of self-care this week for themselves? All right, the card is possibility. Let's see what it says here. Let me get that in focus. Focus your attention on what could go right. When you learn to imagine the best case scenario, you get to enjoy the experience twice. I'm going to read this again. Focus your attention on what could go right. When you learn to imagine the best case scenario, you get to enjoy and experience twice. I really love that. I love that. And this is exactly what I was talking about here. The best case scenario that you can come up with, and it's probably going to be a creative solution. What is that for you? It doesn't have to look like anyone else's solution. This is about you. This is about your life, maybe your people that you're involved with. So, come up with a creative solution to this. And again, imagine where this might go. Oh, I'm trying to fight a sneeze here. And then you get to enjoy it twice. You get to imagine that experience, and then you get to have that experience. So, Gemini, I wish you the best of luck with this entire situation, with making this choice that you're faced with this week of something that you love. And again, maybe two things that you love that are polar opposites that you're trying to come together and see how things can mesh together for you and make it work. But you can be creative, right? So anyway, I do appreciate your time here with me. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. Let me know, what were your two decisions of something you love that you had to make a decision about, and did you find a way to kind of put them together to meld everything so that you could have your cake and eat it too, basically. I do post readings every week, so come back next week, Gemini, and we'll see if this situation continues or if you've wrapped this up and there's something totally new here for you. Also, if you like my reading style, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. But most importantly, Gemini, it'll help you find me next week. So thank you so much and good luck with this. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.